And it's time for a change! I have so much anger. I feel like I've been raped. In the face! Great Scott.
At no point in your rambling were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Guess you just discovered a new element!
It's the element of surprise.
You don't need fortune, you don't need fame, you don't need a credit card to ride this train. Welcome to the Element of Surprise. My name is Chadwick J. Sewitt. This is the Element of Surprise, the mentally irregular podcast, and we are video now. Hurrah! Yay! Yippee, 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 yippee! Yeah, we're all video. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Of course, housekeeping. Facebook page, www.facebook.com. Audio is podbean.com. Obviously the YouTube channel, which if you're watching this, you found that. Yay, good for you. Okay, so I figured since we are videos now, since we're movies, let's talk about movies. Let's talk movies. First movie that I want to discuss is Weekend at Bernie's. It's an absolute fucking classic. Stars Jonathan Silverman, Andrew McCarthy, Terry Kaiser, and the premise of the movie is that two gentlemen, Silverman and McCarthy, work for a company. They're nobodies. They are nobodies in their company, and they accidentally discover $2 million of embezzlement. And they take it to their boss, Bernie, Terry Kaiser, who seems very thrilled with them and invites them to his private island resort hotel escape place to, just chill out with him for the weekend. He's going to go over everything, but they get real excited about it. They want to go and they want to experience the weekend with Bernie. They want to spend a weekend at Bernie's. Plot twist, Bernie is the one embezzling the money. He's going to have them killed. So he goes to his mob connections to have them killed. Turns out, twist again, Bernie is, he's stooping the mob boss's wife or girlfriend. I don't remember if it's his wife or his girlfriend, but Bernie's fucking her. So they decide, the mob boss decides that Bernie killed instead. So by the time Jonathan Silverman and Andrew McCarthy show up at the island, Bernie is dead. And they do what any rational adults would do when you get invited to your boss's private island resort and discover him dead there. They parade his corpse around all weekend and throw lavish parties. So, why not, of course. But anyway, the reason I wanted to discuss this is because it's an absolute fucking classic. It's a comedy great. There are so many great scenes, such as, them on the boat towing Bernie's corpse and just basically abusing Bernie's corpse for an hour and 46 minutes. But it led me to a discussion a while back as I had watched the movie, and then I went to my Facebook page, or the Element of Surprise Facebook page that I just mentioned to you, and I posted this. I said, I have provided questions, you provide the answers, I will read them on the podcast. And the questions were answered by people. So now I'm going to do that. I'm going to read you the questions, and then I'm going to read you the answers. So the first question is, why are you not watching Weekend at Bernie's? Josh Johnson answered, I haven't seen it on recently. Good answer, Josh. I like that you were just direct with that. You were very outright and forthcoming. You were honest. You didn't try to bullshit me in any way, shape, or form. You didn't say something like, oh, well, just I haven't gotten around to it. You're just like, I haven't seen it on. Good. Good for you. Question 2. Remember that time you could have been watching Weekend at Bernie's? Josh answered, yes, and I did watch it that time. Good man. Good man. Question 3. Do you want to watch Weekend at Bernie's? Of course. It's hysterical. Good man. I'm loving these answers, Josh. You are... Yes. Yes, you are. I don't know what that means, but yes. Question 4. If Bernie Lomax showed up at your house, would you puppet him around like in Weekend at Bernie's? Josh's answer was, he would be my puppet, and my hand would be so far up his ass that it would be shitty. Now, I love this answer. This answer is fucking classic. It's hysterical. But I need to know, you know when you die, you shit yourself. You void your bowels. So, would there still be shit inside of his ass for you to, get your arm up there and puppet around? Would your arm still be shitty? Or are you saying that, like, at the moment of death, you'd be like, oh shit, Bernie's gonna shit himself. I've got to get my arm up there real quick. Like you've just got lube and a rubber glove on hand to just lube up Bernie's asshole and just shove your arm right in there at the exact moment of death, so that way he doesn't defecate all over the place. He just, that way your arm can get shitty. I don't know. That's, I'm not saying it's wrong. It's definitely not wrong. It's a perfect answer. But I need to, it just led me to have more questions. Anyway, moving on. Question 5. If you bumped into Terry Kaiser, would you murder him and then puppet him around like his character Bernie Lomax from the movie Weekend at Bernie's? Josh is like, no, I try not to kill unless necessary, which is good. There's a lot of reasons to murder, but, you don't want to go out of your way to do it. And Terry Kaiser's a fucking gem. You don't want to murder Terry Kaiser for any reason whatsoever. When he dies naturally, though, I do believe that in lieu of a funeral, he should just be put in Bernie gear and then puppeteered around for at least a good month or two. Question 6. Why haven't you attempted to puppeteer Terry Kaiser like in Weekend at Bernie's yet? His answer was, I'm kind of antisocial, but if we can only reenact the movie line for line, and I'm completely down for that. If we have to fucking just physically abduct Terry Kaiser and put him in the Bernie's gear and then force him to reenact the movie line for line with us while we puppeteer him around like in the movie, I'm down with that. I will gladly play Jonathan Silverman. I don't really think I'm an Andrew McCarthy for multiple reasons. One, I was never in love with a mannequin. I also am not a known sociopath. So I can't be McCarthy. I also just don't have that charm. I'm kind of awkward and goofy, and that's Jonathan Silverman to a T. I think that's all he's ever accomplished in his life, was being awkward and goofy on film. But yeah, no, good answer. Good answer. Let's see. Question 8. Pick one. Suffer a stroke or watch Weekend at Bernie's. Josh's answer was, how about we suffer a stroke while watching Weekend at Bernie's? And I'm down with that. Like, if I'm gotta have a stroke, if I'm going to have a stroke and there's no fucking avoiding it, there's no way out of it, it's 100% stroke. I jumped on the stroke bandwagon and I'm like, yes, a stroke is what I want. That's what's going to happen for me. But I get to pick the time of the stroke. Definitely a viewing of Weekend at Bernie's would be the perfect time to have that stroke. I'm like, yeah, okay, it's stroke time. Save it for the end, though, where like Bernie like flips into the sand after they think that he's been taken away by the paramedics, and the kid's like, hey, mister, could I bury you? And then I suffer the stroke from laughing so hard at the epicness of what was Weekend at Bernie's. So yeah, I agree with that. Question 9. Do you want to reenact Weekend at Bernie's in public? His answer, I'm down to act a fool. Can I be Bernie? No, you cannot be Bernie. Terry Kaiser is Bernie. I just covered this. We have to track him, confront him, maybe at one of the comic conventions he does, and then abduct him and reenact Weekend at Bernie's. I just said, you can be Andrew McCarthy. You get to be Andrew McCarthy. That's, I guess, good. On a scale of 1 to 10, that's like a 3, but cool. You get to be Andrew McCarthy because Terry Kaiser is going to be Bernie. Now, that said, in lieu of Terry Kaiser, if you really want to be Bernie, sure, I mean, who am I to take that away from you? I don't know. I wouldn't take that. I wouldn't deny anybody the right to be Bernie in a real life Weekend at Bernie's scenario, which actually leads me to a funny story. Real quick is, God, this was maybe like 15 years ago now. My fiance's uncle dressed as Bernie Lomax for Halloween and looked the fucking part. Fucking just 100%, and he literally just sat there on the couch all night and had people puppeteer him around if he needed to move, or if he was tired of having people puppeteer him around and people didn't want to, he had a little what are those called? You remember those little tape recorders that you could record things on, like, you know, pocket recorders, and then play them back? He had music, and he would get up and do the Bernie dance to get himself going around. And it was fucking hysterical. It was hands down the best Halloween costume I've ever seen in my life. He won Halloween. If Halloween was a contest, he was the winner. All right, so question 10. What was your favorite color? And Josh said purple. Good color. Good color. I like purple. Purple's a very goddamn good color. And what the hell just happened here? Okay, but yeah, purple. Purple, good fucking color. I like purple. It's very regal. It's very regal. There was very little purple in Weekend at Bernie's, unless you could consider his corpse eventually bloating and turning purple, which I would. Good answer. But yeah, so that's why I wanted to talk about Weekend at Bernie's. And big shout out to my old buddy Josh Johnson for a lot of reasons, but particularly him answering the questionnaire. Now, my good buddy Leaf Hustlebee answered the questions as well. I'm not going to lie, Leaf. I'm not going to bullshit. I was not enthused with your answers, sir. Answers 1 through 10, you said one answer to all of them. Terry Kaiser sucked in that movie. And I want you to now do me a favor. You are somebody whose sense of humor I value. But I want you to do me a favor, sir. I need you to sit down with your adorable Kintons, your adorable kitties, and I need you to just reevaluate your stance on Weekend at Bernie's. I want you to sit down. I want you to watch it. Gather your cats. Gather your popcorn. Sit down. Watch Weekend at Bernie's again. Evaluate how amazing Terry Kaiser was to be able to act dead throughout the entire film. It wasn't a mannequin or a dummy wearing a Terry Kaiser mask. That was just Terry Kaiser playing dead, playing possum, and being fucking amazing at it. So, I wasn't enthused, Leaf. Moving on. Moving right the fuck on. This talk of Weekend at Bernie's got me onto an 80s movie kick. And I was thinking the other day, I was at work, and I was walking around doing my job, and I happened to notice in the $3 movie bin, there was a copy of, it said, 2 great films for the price of 1. And it was Teen Wolf 1 and 2. Now, Teen Wolf 1, Michael J. Fox is a high schooler, finds out he's part werewolf on his dad's side, and they can just turn into werewolves. And he brings his basketball team to glory that year. And Teen Wolf 2 is Jason Bateman finding out he's his cousin and apparently getting into a boxing match. But I want Teen Wolf 3. I want Teen Wolf 3 now in 2022. And here's the plot for Teen Wolf 3. Here's what I want. I want just Michael J. Fox. Just Michael J. Fox in werewolf makeup, completely deprived of his Parkinson's medication. Just for like a withdrawal length of time in the werewolf makeup, and just constantly filmed until like he just starts making werewolf noises and twitching and shaking out. And just be like, this isn't funny, guys. This is ow. Make a werewolf sound, Michael. Ow. This can I get my meds? I was in Back to the Future. No, you cannot have your meds, Michael. Teen Wolf 3, it's gonna be a hit. It's what the people need right now. I also want to see The Waterboy 2. I had a concept for that. It's Bobby Boucher moves down to Mexico. Actually, you don't call it The Waterboy 2. You call it The Waterboy Dose. And it's Bobby Moucher, Adam Sandler, and Mama moving down to Mexico for whatever reasons. I make them up. I don't give a shit. And he becomes a bullfighter and uses his ability to tackle people, not like he did on the football team, but now he just tackles bulls in the professional bullfighting arena. And I just think that would be hilarious, just seeing like whatever. How old is Adam Sandler now? Like 50-something? Just seeing like a 50-something-year-old Adam Sandler tackle bulls while Kathy Bates yells in fucking like a thick Louisiana accent at him. I just think that would be fucking hysterical. That and Teen Wolf 3, those are the movies that people need. That said, I do want to talk Caddyshack 2. In the past week, I've watched both Caddyshack movies. Now, the first one's a fucking classic. It's fantastic, and everybody played their part perfectly. Rodney Dangerfield, Ted White, Chevy Chase, Bill Murray, Brian Doyle Murray. Everybody in that movie was absolutely outstanding. Harold Ramis wrote and directed it. Harold Ramis, oh my god, the late great Harold Ramis. Egon Spengler himself, Ghostbusters. He was fucking, he just crushed that fucking film, and everybody was perfect on it. Then, based on its success, the studio said, how about we do Caddyshack 2? You know what we need more of? We need more Caddyshack. And they went to Harold Ramis, and he said, no, I won't be doing that. And they're like, oh, come on, we're going to do it anyway. He goes, okay, I'll at least write the story treatment. And it's fucking, just like, it's all the best parts of the original Caddyshack, just exaggerated on. But what stands out to me the most is that Robert fucking Stack, the fucking Unsolved Mysteries guy, played the villain in that, and he is so fucking amazing in it. It is hilarious. You know, there's a scene where he's meeting with Dan Aykroyd, who's taking over for Bill Murray's character, and they meet at a food truck in the ghetto. And he's Robert Stack is a high-privileged, upstanding, very wealthy person who would never be caught in a fucking, in a lower end part of town. But he's there to meet clandestinely with, is clandestinely? Is that a fucking word? I don't know. To meet all clandestine with, Dan Aykroyd to get him to kill the main character. And he's just amazing. And Dan Aykroyd's like, okay, from now on, I will call you Mrs. Esterhouse, and you will call me Mr. Whatever. It doesn't matter. And Robert Stack's like, oh, yes, call me Mrs. Esterhouse. And just hearing Robert Stack with his fucking amazing voice just be like, yes, call me Mrs. Esterhouse. Just fantastic. Will do, Mrs. Esterhouse. Caddyshack 2. Worth a watch. It's no Weekend at Bernie's. Father's Day happened recently, and it reminded me of an old movie called Godzilla and Son. Or no, Son of Godzilla, not Godzilla and Son. Godzilla and Son, that's Sanford and Son. Jesus. Beverage. Son of Godzilla, where you meet Godzilla's little green Pillsbury Doughboy of a Godzilla monster child, who basically does a slapstick routine throughout the entire movie and shoots fire rings, because he can't shoot Godzilla breath, so he shoots fire rings. But I caught some clips from it on YouTube, and it definitely stood out to me. There's something about it that stood out to me, and I took away some parenting tips, some tips from Godzilla that would help me as a father parent my own child. One of which was, anytime your child is toppled over by large boulders, lay there and do nothing, because that's what Godzilla did in the movie. And it seemed to work out. It taught the son of Godzilla to be tough. He was crushed with boulders. What did Godzilla do? Nothing. He took a fucking nap. That's how you handle that. Same goes for whenever your son gets attacked by a giant spider. What do? Nothing. You just go into the ocean and leave. And, I think that's a metaphor for all parenting, is that eventually you just got to walk into the ocean. At some point, your kids don't need you anymore. And even if they say they do, you just walk directly into the ocean, and you're gone forever. You let the waves and the surf and the undertow drag you out to wherever it is that you're destined to end up, and let your kids fend for themselves. Number 3 is when your kids are jumping on you while you're sleeping, it's perfectly all right to unleash your atomic nuclear fire breath into their face to knock them down a hill, which again leads to them being crushed by boulders, to which you do nothing. There's a lot of great parenting tips that Godzilla taught us that I think maybe we should be learning from. I think there's a lot of learning from Godzilla. And not just because the movie came out in 1967 and the rubber suits and the actors in them were absolutely ridiculous. I'm talking about real parenting takeaways from watching Godzilla do jack shit nothing to help or defend his son in any way, shape, or form throughout this film. I think that in a lot of ways it mirrors how I want my own parenting style to go from now on. Like, I'm a dad. As you can tell, I'm a great dad. And God damn it, I'm a dad. And if nothing, I want my own parenting skills to reflect how much I can be like Godzilla. Matter of fact, to the point now that my son he's 10 years old. I think that, I'm in no, don't get me wrong, I'm not in the mood to be done with this life or anything, but I'm getting, if I follow the Godzilla method of parenting, every day brings me one day closer to the day where I'm just going to have to be like, all right, let's get in the car, everybody. Drive out to, where are we? This is the Atlantic Ocean. Why did you bring us here? For a vacation? No. Son, you're a man now. But Dad, I'm 11. No, it's time for me to walk into the ocean and never be heard from again until they make another movie about Godzilla. Of course, I'll be dead because I'm human, and the undertow will kill me where my body will be ravished upon by sharks. But, at least they'll make more Godzilla movies for you to watch. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? Nothing. Goodbye, my child, and then I'll just walk into the ocean at sunset. Leaving my son to fight giant monsters and shit like that. I don't know what his mom will do. Maybe she'll join me in the ocean? I don't know. Drowning seems awful. I don't think that's her cup of tea. But, as a father, from watching the Godzilla movie, that's what I know I've got to do eventually. All right. Let's talk Jason. Let's talk Friday the 13th. So, recently, I have been watching a lot of the Friday the 13th movies. Particularly the first 4, because the first one sets up everything. And then 2, 3, and 4 are where they introduce Jason, and they also take place over the course of, like, a week. And also, Jason was still alive then. He wasn't like a glorified zombie. Brought back from the dead, unkillable machine. He was a living person, mongoloid man, but a living person. And I have a question that I need to address to you, my viewers and audience. Was Jason Voorhees a victim, as much as the people he took his rage out on? I believe he was. Yes, because if you watch the original Friday the 13th. The killer is Jason's mom, Pamela Voorhees, portrayed beautifully by Betsy Palmer, because she needed the $5,000 to buy a new car. Those are her own words. Even though she thought the script was shit and had, again, her words, and had no intention of doing the film, she did need a new car, and the $5,000 helped greatly towards that. So she played Pamela Voorhees, unknowingly beginning a franchise that is just become a horror staple point. I mean, and that leads me to another thing that I want to address later, is what happened to the horror icon, but I'm going to save that for a different video. But, everybody knows who Jason is. I don't care how old you are. Everybody knows who Jason is. You put on a hockey mask and say Jason, everybody knows who you are. But not everybody knows that Jason's mom was the killer in the original. So, the plot goes, she's killing these people because she blames them for the drowning death of her son Jason. But the second movie establishes that he did not drown. He washed up on a different part of the lake. This is not a tiny lake. It's a big fucking lake. And he didn't know where he was. He couldn't get home. He was fucking 10. And he's also mentally disabled. So, he had been to the summer camp every year. He knew how to hunt. He knew how to make a shelter. Because those are tasks that anybody of any mental capability can learn. So he did that. And he survived for years. To the point where he saw his mother get beheaded at the end of the first movie. Now, keep in mind that in Jason's, mentally irregular mind, the only love he ever knew was from his mother. And watching her be decapitated for doing what he and her both knew was out of love for him, that would set anybody off. I'll tell you this much: I'm not mentally handicapped, but if I saw somebody behead my mother because she thought I was dead and was taking vengeance for my death, those motherfuckers are dead. I would straight up murder them, and I know exactly how to turn a body into ash. All you need is a lot of stump remover. I should not be saying that. I shouldn't be telling you guys how to dispose of bodies. But it's true. Just need stump remover. Anyway, those fuckers are dead. So, and I don't condone murder or anything in any aspect, but, so Jason watches this, and then anytime anybody comes around the lake, he just kills them out of revenge for his mother, who in turn was taking revenge for him. So in a way, he's kind of a victim, a really, really screwed up victim, a victim who, had he been found at a younger age and had he survived to the point where, he had not witnessed his own mother's beheading and maybe had a lot of counseling and therapy and people to guide him, would not have ended up as the unholy murder machine that he did. But he's kind of a victim. That leads me to my thing here for at the very beginning of Friday the 13th Part 2. Jason kills the character of Alice, who was the survivor in the first film, who killed his mom and cut her head off. Now, what Jason does here is important, and we're going to discuss that. So I invite anybody to watch the opening minutes of Friday the 13th Part 2, where you see the character of Alice suffering PTSD about the night at Camp Blood and, the beheading of Mrs. Voorhees. And so she takes it, she wakes up from a nightmare, gets into an argument with her mother on the phone, takes a shower, comes back out to the kitchen, gets creeped out by a few strange noises and stuff like that. A cat jumps in the window and scares her. She calms herself down. She opens up the fridge. Mrs. Voorhees' head is in the fridge. And then Jason comes up behind her and puts an ice pick into her temple. Classic scene. It's the very first on-screen kill Jason ever had. So, it's iconic. But here's the thing. Jason tracked her down. Now, I'm not going to get into the continuity of how that happened. I know how it happened because I love Friday the 13th. I'm not going to argue the validity of if he could or yada, yada, yada. I'm just saying he did. He tracked her down, and his plan was scare her with his mother's head in her refrigerator. What if she didn't go to the refrigerator? What if she had just slept the night through and got up the next morning and went to work? Or for a jog? What was Jason going to do? Just hide out in the house? Watch the news? Read some fucking newspapers? Make himself breakfast? I don't know the staying life of severed head in refrigerator, but I'm sure it would start to stink after a while. So what was his plan B? Did he absolutely, think any of this out? Not to mention getting there. Let's talk about getting to her house, because he brought the severed head with him. He brought his mom's head with him for the scare, for the jump scare effect. So he had to come from the woods at Camp Crystal Lake into the town of Crystal Lake, which they say in the first movie is like 12 miles. He doesn't have money. He doesn't drive. He's hideously deformed and wears a sack over his head at this point. He's not going to be hitchhiking. Nobody's going to be like, hey buddy, you want to ride into town? Nice severed head. No, that's not happening. So he walks the 12 miles into town to her apartment, waits for her to go to sleep, and then like expertly gains access to her home without waking her, hiding throughout her home at points to make sure she doesn't see him, after placing the head in the fucking refrigerator. He does all of this and is so convinced that yes, what's going to happen is she's going to come out, go to the fridge, get scared, and then I ice pick her in the head. There was no backup plan there. What if she would have just slept the night, woke up the next morning, went to work, and then was just like, what is Jason going to do? He's going to be like, oh shit. Damn. What do I do now? I don't know. I guess I should take Mom's head back. We'll think of another thing, Mom. Don't worry about it. We'll come up with a way to avenge your beheading for murdering all those kids. I don't know. Anyway, that's going to do it for this. Thank you for the very first episode of the Element of Surprise on YouTube, video style. I hope you guys enjoy it. More to come. I'm going to learn how to do this better, like, video in video and stuff like that. But, excuse me, bear with me for the time being. We'll get there. Before I let you go, though, I do want you to check out a few other podcasts if you enjoyed this. Check out a Fireside Chat on Libsyn.com. That's hosted by the very talented, very funny Mr. Ryan McCormick. Again, that's available on Libsyn.com. Check out Mixed Sauce, the comic book podcast, over on Podomatic, hosted by Ian, Paul, and Matt. Check out Case in Point on Audio Boom, hosted by Justin Case. And if you enjoy those, please subscribe to them. Don't hesitate to throw a like and a subscribe to this video. God, I feel dirty asking that. Do it anyway. It's just a click. And thank you. And as always, cue the fucking bear music.